very important. These children need to grow up in normalcy. They need to grow up going to school and being educated, not to go across the world to get medical, I just can't, my heart.
The emotional day at the Louisville airport as families gathered at the terminal to greet a young child impacted by war. A Palestinian family will temporarily call Kentucky their home after flying across the world for medical treatment. Thanks for joining us here on the Night Team. I'm Alex Dieterer. Doug has the night off. This arrival was all in thanks to the nonprofit Heal Palestine, who's making it their mission to ensure every victim of war gets help. WHAS11 Night Team's Jose Alonso and photojournalist Emma After were there to capture the heartfelt welcome.
At the Muhammad Ali International Airport, Louisvillians of different backgrounds waited for a special flight inbound from Detroit. They held Palestinian flags and welcome signs for a boy named Sahir.
We're small compared to other communities in the United States, but when the call comes, we're here.
Then came the celebratory moment they were waiting for. The arrival of 7-year-old Sahir bridges the war from the other side of the world to Louisville. He was met with a high five from the woman who's opening up her home to him and his mother.
So we are a host family for Sahir and his mother while they stay here for medical treatment, which would probably take 3 to 4 months to get a prosthetic limb kind of fitted for him, and then the physical therapy that comes with that.
Louisville nonprofit Heal Palestine says Sahir is one of many Palestinian children living in the Gaza Strip in Israel who's seen the brutality of the war that started in October 2023. Sahir came to Kentucky for medical care after losing his leg, brother, and 11 family members, all in the same blast.
His mother has sustained serious injuries, has over 80 stitches in her body, so both of them need definitely psychological therapy, physical therapy, and just a lot of love and care.
Lina Yassin's family won't be the only ones looking out for these Palestinians. Fadi Mohammed will also co-host and make sure they're comfortable during their temporary stay.
We're Palestinian. I'm first generation. I came here in 1881, and my daughters are born here. They're going to be third generation Palestinian Americans. I mean, I see that child, and that's my child. You know, there's no hesitation. I wish I could do more.
Although Sahir will feel safe in the Derby City, we can't forget the other children still suffering as he did.
There are over 20,000 amputee children currently in Gaza waiting for care because the healthcare system in Gaza has completely been destroyed. And so Heal has been working tirelessly to get them the care they need.
Sahir and his mom are now in the hands of their community and their new family as they will continue forward with their recovery journey with the hopes of one day going back home. Reporting at the Muhammad Ali International Airport, Jose Alonso, WHAS 11 Night Team on your side.
As Yassine mentioned, the healthcare system in Gaza is broken right now. In the most recent attack, a hospital was targeted. Overnight, the hospital, which is an institution of the Anglican Church and a major medical facility, was knocked out of operation, also damaging a church nearby. That's according to Gaza's health ministry. This comes as Hamas leaders have started a new wave of talks as they try to salvage a stalled ceasefire agreement with Israel. Also new tonight, 2 DNA experts were called in to testify in a hearing in Crystal Rogers' case today, including a supervisor with the KSP Forensic Crime Lab. Steve Lawson and his team of attorneys appeared in front of a judge to ask for additional DNA testing on pieces of hair found in Rogers' car. In court documents, the attorneys allege someone could have tampered with Rogers' vehicle after it was abandoned by Steve and Joseph Lawson. It also mentions the possibility of the hair coming back linked to Brooks Houck's brother, Nick Houck, but the prosecution argued this will drag out an already long trial process.
The victim in this case has filed a notice that they want the trial to go forward with unreasonable delay, and that the Supreme Court, as well as the Kentucky Constitution, states that they have no less rights than the defendant.
None of us are qualified to stipulate as to who hairs belong to or who they don't belong to. That is the purpose, the foundational purpose of requesting forensic DNA analysis.
The prosecutor disagrees, saying the hair doesn't match Nick's, and if they do find a match with someone else, it won't clear the Lawsons, who already admitted to moving Crystal's car, their part in the crime. The judge gave both attorney teams 48 hours to submit additional evidence, and he said he plans to make a ruling in the next week. Destructive flooding closed the Caesars Casino in southern Indiana for days, and now a strike will affect business even more. More than 140 employees at Caesars Southern Indiana Hotel and Casino walked out today. Employees say the casino failed to offer a fair contract that matches the property's record-breaking profits. The casino is owned and operated by the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians. According to Local 89, they raked in millions in revenue in 2024.
We're pushing for is some retirement security for these folks. This is the most profitable casino in the state of Indiana, and there are workers here who've worked their whole lives and still can't retire because they've never been, afforded the ability to do so.
The casino sent WHAS11 a statement that reads, in part, quote, Caesars Southern Indiana looks forward to continuing productive discussions and remains optimistic about reaching a mutually beneficial agreement in the near future, end quote. And while the floodwaters have receded, the devastation continues. 2 homes are now at risk of falling into a creek after a mudslide in East Jefferson County. Take a look at this damage. Floodwaters washed away part of a cliff in Prospect. Emergency management was notified yesterday that this land was sliding in Harrods Creek. The family was evacuated, and the homes are now considered unlivable. Well, tax day is tomorrow, but if your life was upended by the tornadoes or flooding, you can get an extension. The IRS grants automatic extensions to those in natural disasters this year. Plus, disaster aid is not counted as income, so it is not taxed. You're also permitted to write off a certain amount of loss due to disasters. The IRS also warns victims that scammers do take advantage of you this time of year, so be vigilant if someone claims to be with the agency. And following those flooding conditions, we did see some much needed and much deserved sunshine today and some summer-like warmth out there today. Chief Meteorologist Mallory Schnell joins us now. And Mallory, please tell me that the warmer weather is sticking around for a while.
We are going to take a step back the next couple of days. We're back in the 60s, but mid to upper 70s return for Easter weekend and really stick around through much of next week. So that's the good news. If you do take a look at our high temperatures the next 5 days, tomorrow and Wednesday, we're looking at highs in the 60s. This is all behind a cold front. Our average high for this time of year is almost at that 70-degree mark, which we look to be at by Thursday. And then beyond that point, Friday through Easter weekend and likely into next week, we're going to be hanging out in the mid to upper 70s, potentially more 80s on the way. We did hit 81 degrees earlier this afternoon. That was after starting off at 65 this morning, so well above that average high for this time of year. At this point, we have cooled off into the 60s, but still a nice night out there behind a cold front. And thankfully for us, we didn't really pick up much in the way of any kind of rain or storm coverage from that cold front. Most of it was off to our east, where those storms were certainly stronger in eastern Kentucky, West Virginia, and Virginia as well. But for us tonight, we will see those clouds gradually decrease with overnight lows in the upper 40s to low 50s. We'll take a look at the rest of the week's forecast. That's coming up in just a bit.
Thank you, Mallory. Some more good news for you tonight. We are now 19 days away from the 151st Run for the Roses. And for the 3rd year in a row, a town hall was held tonight to hear from you, the neighbors of the track, on what you want to see. I was at the meeting tonight to hear from neighbors, local businesses, and local leaders on how Derby 151 can run as smoothly as possible for its local community.
Less than 3 weeks out from crowning the 151st winner of the Kentucky Derby. South Louisville has been planning for this year's Run for the Roses since Mystic Dan took home the championship last year.
We know we bring a lot of challenges to the neighborhood. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad.
For the 3rd year in a row, Metro Councilwoman Jennifer Chappell hosted Derby Our Way, an event aimed at making sure the neighbors around the track are prepared for the most exciting 2 minutes in sports and the days of road closures and crowds that lead up to it.
Unnecessary and random streets that were being closed, missed opportunities with public transit and ride sharing, the difficulty of getting home from work and running basic errands like going to the grocery.
For local transportation company Derby Dash, they rely on the money made during the Kentucky Derby. But an unexpected road closure last Derby put a wedge in their decade-old plans.
For 12 years, we come around Burton, drop off at 9th Street so people can easily cross. For 12 years, when we pick them up, we come down routing to Burton.
The company says last year on Derby Day, LMPD unexpectedly closed off Burton Street.
Not enough transportation providers for the people that come to this outing, so those providers have to be able to come back and come back and come back because you want them gone. You can't leave until they're all gone. But you're not allowing them to leave because there's no providers to get to them.
If the best decision that they could do is to shut down road, they're going to make the best decision they can do.
LMPD Traffic Control says that over the last 2 years, Derby traffic has gone better than it ever has.
We've got 19 days. Now, we can't turn the Titanic on a dime, but that doesn't mean I can't come here and listen to what you have to say and see, hey, you know what? Can we clean this up a little bit, make it a little easier?
And a reminder for those who live in South Louisville, for Derby, the 264 ramps will shut down at 5:30 p.m. We have a full list of road closures during the Derby on our website, WHAS11.com. A judge granted a restraining order tonight for former Governor Matt Bevin's son, Jonah. Jonah filed the restraining order against his adoptive mom, Glenna. He claims his parents sent him away and abandoned him at an abusive school in Jamaica. Jonah already has an emergency protective order against his dad, the former governor. Judge Johnson granted Jonah that restraining order. The judge also ordered Matt and Glenna Bevin's attorneys to hand over information about Jonah's birth parents as soon as possible. The Bevins will be back in court next week to determine if Jonah can remain a third party in Matt and Glenna's ongoing divorce case. New tonight, U of L students protested tonight on campus for DEI and trans rights. The Louisville Young Democratic Socialists of America started at the Student Center and ended their march on the steps of the president's office. Photojournalist Levi Hammer was there.
No justice, no peace. No justice, no peace. We want justice, you say how? ICE, off our campus now.
We are here today to demand that the university not comply with anti-trans legislation. We are here to demand that the university not comply with ICE.
Up with education, down with deportation.
We would like them to publicly advertise themselves as a sanctuary university, and we want them to make a public statement condemning these authoritarian attacks on trans and non-binary individuals.
Trans rights are human rights! Trans rights are human rights!
I thought moving to Louisville would be my big break to be myself, but I was wrong. Ever since I arrived here, I have been met with endless transphobia, from being forced to live in women's housing, from being dead-named and misgendered by doctors.
From book bans to bathroom bans, sports bans, healthcare bans, and even drag bans, it is getting increasingly harder to be trans in America.
The people united will never be defeated! The people united will never be defeated!
This is your chance to listen to the students, to faculty, to the community, the people that put their money into this university, who create its culture, who keep it thriving day by day.
Let's keep marching, y'all.